So I mentioned in my last video that I would start moving on to some lessons on the full drum set. My videos up until this point have focused on hands-only practice, which I believe is vital before transferring to a full drum set. However, I also believe it to be important to get used to playing with your feet as early as possible. We want to start building interdependence between hands and feet because this is a huge part of what playing on a drum set is all about. Today, I want to talk about what you will need to get started on the full drum set. I do not believe that you need to go buy a full set right away, but if you can make this happen, it is ideal. If you choose to go ahead and buy a full drum set, you could go to a reputable music store and just let them know that you are just starting out. A good price range for a beginner drum set is about $500 to $800. Just keep in mind that you get what you pay for. If you buy a $500 set, you will start to have some quality issues down the road. I'm talking about parts coming loose or breaking, drum shells warping, and so on. Also keep in mind that a drum set may not come with everything you need to get started. It may not include things like cymbals, cymbal stands, bass pedals, or a drum throne. An alternative would be to look for a used drum set. I would expect you could find a decent used set for $200 to $300, possibly even less. You are also more likely to find a set that includes all of the additional necessary components this way. You may also be interested in an electronic drum set. For myself, due to my current living situation, I am unable to play on a full set, so I actually practice on an electronic drum set, as you can see behind me. The advantages here include much quieter practice, many sound options, and much easier transportability. However, an electronic set just does not have the same feel as an acoustic drum set. Also, it does not typically lend itself well to live performances. Electronic sets can be expensive. You can find a good set for $500 to $800, but these also do not usually include things like a drum throne or a bass pedal. Similarly to acoustic sets, if you look for used electronic drum sets, you can find some good ones for under $500. I am partial to Roland, but there are some other good brands out there. My setup is a Roland TD3, which they actually no longer make anymore. It looks like the most comparable one to this model that they're making right now in 2018 is the TD1DMK. This goes for about $700 brand new. One electronic set that looks really neat is the TD4KP, which is about $200 cheaper than the one I just mentioned, and it folds into a small portable size. Keep in mind that the prices I'm mentioning are in US dollars, and I pulled these off of the Amazon store. So if you look elsewhere, the prices could vary. So if you are unable to go ahead and buy a full acoustic or electronic drum set, then at the bare minimum, I recommend that you have 2 drumsticks, a practice pad with a stand, a double bass pedal, and a practice bass drum pad. I recommend the double bass pedal because I believe it to be important to start learning to play with your feet just as you would with your hands. Let's go through some of the equipment and some pricing details. I will include a link to each product I am talking about. Keep in mind I do not own all of these products myself, so I do not have first-hand experience with every one of these. I will make it clear with each item whether I personally own it or not. So for drumsticks, I have been using ProMark for years. I absolutely love the balance and overall feel that these sticks provide. Now, eventually I would recommend that you try several different brands and sizes to determine what is best for you, but I really don't believe you could go wrong with these as your first pair. So these are the ProMark Shirakashi Oak. The size is 5B. So for your first pair of drumsticks, as far as size goes, I would recommend 5B or 5A. 5A is a little bit lighter and a little bit narrower than 5B. So if you're planning to play some louder styles of music like rock, hip-hop, R&B to name a few, I would go with the 5B since they're a little bit heavier, can give you a little bit of a louder sound. If you're planning to play some lighter styles such as folk or jazz, then I would recommend that you go with the 5A. For a practice pad, I recommend one that allows mounting to a stand. So this one has an 8mm mounting thread on the bottom of it, which allows me to mount it when I'm practicing. Just keep in mind that not all pads have the same size mounting thread, so just make sure if you get a pad and you intend to put it on a stand, make sure that those threads are compatible with each other. So my practice pad is made by Vader. It is a great pad, but it really is more expensive than you need to spend for a starter pad. I like that it has this non-skid base so that if I am practicing with it and it's not mounted, say on a tabletop, it won't slide away from me. However, I honestly primarily use it when it is mounted. So here's what the practice pad stand looks like. Like I said, this is an 8mm thread. So my practice pad fits just right on this. If I can screw it on here. So you can see that fits very nicely, and it allows me to set it on the ground and play on it without worrying about it moving around on me. It also allows me to sit at an optimal height, not have to sit in a desk chair and then have this somehow positioned on a table. This just helps me to put it exactly where I need it. Like I said, make sure whatever you get that the pad is compatible with the stand. If you use the links I'm providing below this video, then everything should match up nicely. So now let's talk about the double bass pedal. The reason I recommend a double bass pedal over a single pedal is that no matter which style of music you plan to play, becoming skilled with your feet can only make you more versatile as a drummer. It will be helpful to practice quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, and rudiments with your feet. Even just practicing basic quarter notes between your feet can be difficult when you first start out. You should not have to break the bank on a double bass pedal. They can get very pricey very quickly. One thing to keep in mind is that if you go too cheap, it may not last you very long. Poorly built pedals are not fun to deal with and can be more hassle than they're worth. A good price range to look at is $100 to $300. I did find one on Amazon that looks pretty good and has good reviews, and it's a little under $100. I will link to it below. Of course, if you get a double bass pedal, you will need something to use it on. They make practice pads that you can hook pedals up to. I will link to one below. My setup is a bit unusual since I'm playing on an electronic drum set. I got the idea to use these from Thomas Lang, an amazing drummer you should check out if you have not heard of him. These are basically individual bass drum triggers with inverted beaters on the pedal. I can tether two of these together so that the electronic set perceives it as one input. These allow me to use two identical single pedals so that I get the same feel for each foot as I play. So when I push down on this thing, it's hitting this pad as opposed to a normal bass drum pedal where the beater's up here and it hits the bass drum here and comes in like that. This is just inverted, hitting that pad down here. So the bass pedal I use is the DW3000, and this pad here, this is the Roland KD7. So just to be clear, if you are following along with my lessons, you do not have to get this particular setup. This can get very expensive. I have two of these because I have two pedals and two of these pads. So really, if you're looking to go a little bit cheaper, then get just a standard double bass pedal and a single pad that you can use it on. The last item I will discuss is not absolutely necessary, but you will be much happier if you go ahead and get it. This is a drum throne. As you can see, that's what I'm sitting on right here. It's just not the same to play while sitting on the couch or on a chair. A drum throne gives you the freedom to adjust your height and to be more portable with your setup. I found a drum throne on Amazon that costs $40 that looks pretty good. Honestly, it looks a lot better than the one I'm using right now. So be sure to check the description under the video for links to all the products that I use, as well as cheaper alternatives that you may want to look into when you're just getting started. The links I'm providing are affiliate links, so if you do purchase through those, I will get a small percentage of the sale. I really appreciate your support, and I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell button to be sure that you are notified whenever I put up new videos. You can also support me on Patreon. Even a small donation would help me out tremendously. I will put the link below. And finally, if there's anything you would like me to teach, play, discuss, or whatever, let me know in the comments. Good luck practicing, and I will see you next time.